The idea of an animatronic restaurant where unusual events happen, let's admit it, has now become a concept that fits the definition of overuse rather than inspired. I don't know if you also like these kinds of analog horror videos or movies, but I still find these mascots creepy and the story impressive. And there is a series that I like. Even though I used to follow the series long ago, this series now seems to have taken off. The name of this series will of course be The Walten Files. Today I want to tell you the updated timeline of The Walten Files. Then, I think, together we can start to learn about the story of this series. For this video, we will generally take the date back to 1970s. Even earlier than the famous openings of Chuck E. Cheese and Showbiz, exactly to the year 1974. Because this date will be the story of Bond's Burgers Animatronics, which was an unfortunate restaurant open for less than a month, and two imaginative men, Jack Walton and Felix Kranken. In the first tape, we learn that they are introduced to us by a man named Anthony, and Anthony already states in the video that he has a place in this story. It is even said that Anthony is known as a ghost hunter, and although he engages in strange actions, he is a very good and kind person. However, instead of lining up the videos and progressing on a complex story level, I have compiled the secrets you may have missed and the new episodes into a timeline. This timeline should actually be the thing we talk about today. In 1940s, Cyber Fun Tech became a big entertainment company founded by Jason Poltrick. The company made casino jackpot machines, arcade machines, and animatronics for different companies, for example Disney. And all the animatronics we will recognize in this series were made by Cyber Fun Tech. However, after Jason's death in early 50s, the company was taken over by his son, Norman Poltrick. Meanwhile, in the continuation of 50s, the team that would start the story, Bunny Smiles Incorporated, was formed. Two friends interested in engineering and business started in 1958 and completed this company in 1962. These characters are none other than Jack Walton and Felix Kranken, whom we mentioned at the beginning. In 60s, Jack had 3 children and a wife named Rosemary, his eldest daughter Sophie and his younger kids Ed and Molly, although Felix Kranken had barely made new friends. The friends I'm talking about are Cyberfun Tech employees, and their names are Charles Brooke and Susan Whittings, and it can be said that they have an important place throughout the series. Of course, it is also useful to mention Felix's family. Compared to Jack, Felix is not a very good family man. In fact, Felix has no children, but Felix does have a wife named Linda Kranken. Later, she would be known as Linda Thompson, because it is a definite fact in the series that Linda and Felix had a few problems. Now that we've put all the characters in order, it's time to learn in more detail what happened before and after the opening. The restaurant called Bond's Burgers opened at the end of June 1974. In this place, which was an animatronic restaurant, there was also a group called the Showstoppers. Now, the important characters I want to talk about will be those. The first character, actually the main character, is a dancing rabbit. We learn is named Bon. Actually, the very character the restaurant was named after. Alongside this blue rabbit, we can clearly see in the first VHS tape, company introduction tape, the other characters. Another character is a female sheep character named Shaw, who also sings and dances. Along with these animatronics, a pink and purplish rabbit called Benny was added too. In addition to these anthropomorphic characters, there was also a magician named Boozoo, similar to Pasquale, but among them was hidden another one that would be important later, Billy the Clown. In May 1974, where everything began, before the hamburger restaurant even opened, Linda and Felix broke up one night after an argument. In a letter Linda left him, she clearly states that Felix has an alcohol problem. The same night, on the night the letter was found, his friend Jack asks him to take Ed and Molly to a school event and bring them back. After drinking too much alcohol again, Felix's strange behavior is noticed by the children. When the event ends, Felix, who is assigned to take them home, puts them in the car. The children, noticing that Felix had been drinking, ask him if he's okay, but Felix keeps driving the car anyway. As a result of an accident, they wait inside the car all night. Felix survives with his heart still beating, but we cannot say the same thing for the children, because Ed and Molly are now dead. An important toy left for them is Rocket Bunny, a gray rabbit animatronic. Fearing to risk his career, Felix buries the two children in St. Juana Forest, throws their belongings into the river, and leaves the area. But Ed and Molly do not easily leave this world. Their spirits manage to enter the Rocket Bunny toy, and throughout the series, they give us messages, appear to the audience, and sometimes show up from the corner of our eyes, stuck inside Rocket. Shortly after the accident, although he tells the police he crashed the car, he never says that he threw the children's belongings into the river. While Rosemary and Jack Walton's lives collapse, their only remaining child is their eldest daughter, Sophie. But sometimes later, even something mysterious happens. Jack Walton vanishes without a trace. In a way we can never understand in the series, which we will return to this later. In the first week of Bob's Burgers opening, after Jack's disappearance, from old sound recordings on a site called Find Jack Walton, we learned that they needed to do more maintenance and repairs on Bon animatronic. This makes people think Bon was taken off stage shortly after Jack disappeared. So that would mean Jack Walton somehow possessed Bon, right? Well, I think we have to get to that later on in the video, but we can be sure there is a presence inside Bon, and we don't know if he's Jack or not. From another tape, we can learn that on June 30, during the first birthday party celebrated, even Felix didn't come, and Charles left the restaurant early, leaving Susan Woodings inside. Susan Woodings, a Cybertech employee, makes different comments about Bon, but in the end, Bon and Susan being together causes the two characters to meet. For some reason, Bon kills Susan and stuffs her body inside Banny. This causes Felix, now the CEO, to find Susan's dismembered body laying there. Realizing he must hide the corpse, both Banny's suit and Bon's suit are left in a sealed back room. Meanwhile, Susan's death creates great suspicion for the company and those around it. But after deciding to put Bon strangely back to stage, birthdays and Bob's Burgers continue. When it comes to the birthday of a 14-year-old girl, we are told that this girl's name is Lily. It is also said that a clown named Billy the Clown, made special for the birthday, would be also on stage. The birthday was for a special girl, Lily, who was none other than Charles Brooks' daughter. From another tape, we can be sure that Charles encountered Bon the same day her daughter's birthday was set in, which ends with Charles being killed and put into the Boozoo character. Now let's pause here. First, we need to learn why these souls stayed in this world, and although we don't yet know how Jack Walton died, throughout the series it is shown that there are similarities between him and Bon, though as time passes, the possibility that Jack is Bon decreases. Presence inside Bon is only known as Bon. This leads to another thought though, that while searching for his children in the forest, Jack might have been killed by Bon. So, where are all these souls now? In the restaurant? No. In the series, there's a kind of afterlife place called the Wonderland or the Lobby, a place for people who died with an unfinished purpose. Although it is not known how this place came to be, in 1800s, a man named Jonathan Farrell is said to have visited it and spoke with his dead wife. If we think about it, Jack's soul being stuck in this place instead of being tied to an object in the world and using the tapes as objects is very likely, meaning Bon could be someone who died long ago, either Jason Poltrick or a demon. In the end, Bon, with facial recognition installed, is prone to killing people by misunderstanding them. The identity of the ghost will certainly be given to us later in the videos. Now, let's go back to the restaurant. We know that Bob's Burgers was only open for 22 days and the last day it was open was on July 19th. Felix Kranken did not want Rosemary, Jack's wife, to look for her husband in the restaurant, so he didn't let her inside. This explains how Rosemary disappeared. She visits the restaurant for finding her husband, then she, Rosemary, stayed inside late at night and encountered Bon. Whatever happened inside that night, Rosemary died screaming so loud that it woke the whole neighborhood. Thus, Rosemary became Shaw the sheep, and thus, Sophie Walton, having lost both her parents, was the only one left from Walton family. After the incident, BSI, Bunny Smiles Incorporated, took these characters and loaded them onto a truck. Restoring an old bunker named K9, Felix now stored the animatronics inside the K9 facility, inside the St. Juana forest. The second tape Relocate project tells us that Felix wanted to reopen the company and Bond's Burgers in 1982, and that meant the animatronics needed a reprogramming by new employees. Realizing he no longer had employees in the company and had lost 2 workers in Cyberfun, Felix had 3 new employees enter the K9 facility: Ashley Parks, Hillary Barkley, and Kevin Woodings, the nephew of the deceased Susan, entered inside. Instead of doing their jobs, they decided to hang around, mess with the stuff inside, which ended with a tragedy. Ashley, who entered one of the back rooms and stayed away from the tasks, was found and killed by Bond. Ashley then was put into the clown named Billy the Clown, which had no presence inside yet. Thinking Ashley had left early, the 2 other employees left the area and the K9 facility. The bunker completely remained empty for a while, but the most recent Hotline VHS tape tells us that the company, Bunny Smiles, developed a hotline, and this hotline was for the employees working in K9 facility. The worker we see in the video is named David Gonzalez. David entered as one of the caretakers of K9. In the video, we learn that David made some camera recordings before calling the hotline, the emergency hotline to be exact. He was too paranoid. He decided to connect to the company. Even though he connected to the hotline, the company told him that this wasn't an emergency, leaving him face to face with a white face that was watching him. The white face watching him belonged to Charles Brooke. After hanging up the phone and running around, David encountered Buzu. After seeing this animatronic holding Charles' soul, he saw a few hung down belongings from the ceiling. Listing these objects in the teaser Souvenir, there's a special item belonging to everyone harmed by the company. Beer bottles representing Felix Kranken's addiction, the company sign representing Jack Walton, technician tools, Susan, a broken statue without arms representing Charles, flowers representing Rosemary. In addition to these, there is also a doll newly hung by Bond, whose identity we don't know, but we can say it's about one of Jack's children. After recording Charles with the camera and being attacked by Bond, David was left alone in the forest. We don't know what happened, but later it will be explained. Until the repair of the animatronics, a new worker arrived, named Brian Stelz. A new employee working at BSI started taking care of the facility. The animatronics remained locked inside K9. Brian Stelz is a new character added to the series. Since his job was to watch over the facility, we can call him a night guard. Of course, since we know Bond, who is surely possessed, is angry and wants to kill him too, we don't need another tape to see what happened to him. In October of 1982, during the early times of the Relocate project, after nearly half an hour, he arrived to K9, which was said to have been closed since 77 or 78. Trying to repair Bond, he noticed the smell inside was too bad, like something was rotting. After Bond started moving on its own, Brian ran with the camera through the area into the forest, the smell belonging to Ashley Parks. At the end, after saying the famous line, noticing Brian was blonde, Bond realized Sophie had brown hair, like a pattern. Bond would kill everyone related to the Walton family and create a new family inside Wonderland. In a fit of rage, Bond killed Brian. We don't know what Bond did after escaping into the forest, but this may be the first escape into the forest, which means David Gonzalez might have survived. So, what happened to Sophie? Since Sophie was left an orphan, she stayed with Laura, who was in a way Rosemary's aunt. After a while, Sophie went to high school and then university, where she met a girl named Jenny and became her girlfriend. At this time, Sophie also had medication recommended by her doctor to suppress her old memories. After being expelled from Bunny Hill College, she started dating Jenny at the end of 70s. And so they rented a room in a hotel called Enfront. Since Jenny worked there, even though Sophie was unemployed, things were going almost fine until... In October 1982, while BSI was searching locations in Brighton to beta test the arcade game Bunny Farm, they placed the Bunny Farm arcade machine in the Enfront Hotel. Jenny, who played the game, decided to show Sophie the game and left Sophie to play it alone. In her first game, Sophie noticed some small glitches, but while playing Billy Spot the Difference game, the game crashed. We can understand that Ashley, now trapped inside Billy, was trying to make contact this way. In the following days, Sophie played more and began to notice important details about the memories she had suppressed. Noticing corrupted save files, Sophie ignored the warnings and decided to play Banny's game, which we know holds Susan Wooding's soul. After Susan showed Sophie what had happened to her, Sophie encountered pages from Felix's wife's diary in the game. After the game was corrupted by Buzu, Shaw, and other souls, Sophie remembered the accident where her siblings died on May 2nd. Telling Jenny what happened, Sophie eventually joined BSI at some point. Even if her story ends here, we know that Bunny Smiles was closed in 1983. All the other tapes after Sophie's experiences show us that she had many adventures in warehouses and by watching the tapes. And as I said, from this point on, it is dark. But afterwards in 83, BSI was shut down. And although it was aimed to ban and destroy all tapes, we still need many more tapes, many more questions to be answered. Felix's actions, the mystery behind Jack's disappearance, and much more. These days, if it came out, I'm sure the animatronic concept would be considered overused and cliched, just like cursed toys or demon-like things in films and storytelling. But in analog horror, costumes and animatronics are basically nothing more than that. Yet this series still continues and still manages to gather attention. Because this series is something that manages to do things originally. The art style, the original animation style doesn't act like any SFM animation and pulls people in. It's a series that starts the nightmare years later. Exactly 5 years later. It has just begun. So thank you very much for watching this video. This video was really a valuable one to make, and since I have given you every information and everything to say about the Walten Files, I think it's time to say goodbye.